Welcome back to Noob School. This is where we interview sales pros that can help you get off to a great start in sales. All right, welcome back to Noob School. Today I want to talk about something I like to call this want to. How much do you want it? And, there's a lot of things that we talk about in Noob School that are very technical. Like we just want to simply ask the questions and find out what the problem is and what the solution is, and kind of like a doctor, right? Very technical. But in some cases, particularly if it's a jump ball, right? If it's kind of an even fight, usually the person who's going to win is the person who wants it more, the person who shows the prospect that they want the business more and they're willing to work for it. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One, and I thought about this because my brother told me this story. My brother Dan, he works for ScanSource, a great company here in town, and they had their big kind of global conference. I think it was in Boston. It was one of the big cities up north, and he was just on fire. He was sending me and my dad all these texts about how cool Bill Walton was, that Bill Walton just did such a good job and the speech was so good because he'd seen Bill Walton come speak at this event. And so I can't wait for Dan to get back and ask, what did Bill Walton speak about? So Dan finally gets back. And I said, well, before we get to Bill Walton, I said, who else spoke there? Did you have any other speakers? And he said, yeah, Magic Johnson spoke there too. And I'm like, Magic Johnson? Magic, why aren't you talking about Magic? Because Magic is actually, more famous than Bill Walton. He's got the big smile and he's, Hollywood and, won tons of championships, probably a top 5 NBA player of all time. And he goes, no, Bill Walton was better. I'm like, wow, okay, well, tell me why. And he goes, well, I'll tell you why. He goes, Magic Johnson showed up 10 minutes before his speech. He came out, he did a very canned presentation. And afterwards, his contract said they could have pictures with 25 VIPs with him. So just 25 pictures and then he was out. So he just showed up right on time, did his speech, kind of canned, 25 pictures and he was out. He said Bill Walton showed up the night before. So the night before the speeches, he was there at the party, like with, thousands of people. And he was just one of the guys rolling around, talking to people, having a drink, getting to know everybody. And so he really, really, really showed them he was glad to be there and he was enjoying himself and enjoying getting to know ScanSource and some of their suppliers and customers and executives and just getting to know people at the thing. He goes, also the next day, before the thing even started, Bill was there about an hour before the event started. And he was just, again, walking around, seeing some of the same people, making small talk. And when he got up to do his speech, he said he was much more gregarious, much more, he had more stories to tell just from the people he'd met over the last 24 hours. And then, of course, afterwards, he said, if anybody wants a picture, I'll stay until the last person has to go. So he just did unlimited pictures. So Dan said, clearly, Bill Walton was the hit of the whole thing. And I said, well, let me ask you this question. What did Bill Walton talk about? Dan goes, I don't know. He didn't remember a thing about what Walton talked about or even what Magic Johnson talked about. He just clearly was just impressed by the fact that one guy really wanted to be there, wanted to be involved, and one guy was just showing up and getting out. So just a quick lesson in the difference in want to, what difference it makes with your prospect. I'll give you another one. Let's just say you needed to get a new fence in your backyard, and you had 2 recommendations for people to talk to for the fence. And the first person came by and they just said, okay, give me a second. Walked in the backyard for 2 minutes, came out and said, it'll be $1,200. I'll get you a fence. All right. The next guy came by and said, great, this is a beautiful yard. Do you mind if I walk the yard with you? And this person spent 30, 45 minutes walking the yard, taking measurements, asking questions about how high it needs to be and, do you have a dog or don't you have a dog? How deep does it have to go underground? And, just a lot more work trying to figure out exactly what you wanted. and came back and said the price was, let's just say $1,300, just a little bit more. We all know you're going to pick the $1,300 quote, right? I would. So it's only because one just wanted it more and did a little more work than the other. So those are two quick stories just to illustrate to you that, if it's a jump ball, you're trying to get the business, working a little bit harder and showing some genuine enthusiasm for what the prospect's problem is will more likely than not, get you the business. So don't forget, you got to show that you want it.